Interview with Riot MMO Devs.
So, on my journey to Riot's headquarters, I had a chance to talk to some of Riot's teams. And of course, one of those teams was Riot's MMO team. And while it was really awesome to talk to them, luckily we even had some time to do an interview. Unfortunately, the interview was recorded in one of their meeting rooms, which meant that it was very echoey. I mean,
Can we just like go one by one to like introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Sure. I'm Vijay Tucker. I'm the EP of the MMO.
Fortunately, however, the world does have the technology to salvage the audio, and so the final result should be totally fine. Just know that it is not a studio quality. It is literally my laptop and a USB microphone in a square room. And of course, since it is hard to get some info on Riot's MMO...
Yeah, they really say nothing. I would imagine. I mean, like, I don't even... Where are they? Let me just read the taking feedback. Riot MMO hype takeaway. Let's go here.
I'm a writer. So, I might have made an oopsie. Strong start. I released the video. Kind of started an avalanche of hype out of nowhere. How did you guys take this? Was it you know, how much damage have I caused on accident?
Not even close. We thought it was awesome. We immediately like shared it among the team. Like we watch it for inspiration as a reminder of like what player hype is for the space. Like more than anything, you raise the bar for us, which is awesome.
We love it, but we started to sweat a bit.
So like up until that point, were you in like a safe space where like you know you were kind of like fine because you know like people knew it was happening, but no one really.
You were on the deal, yeah.
Have you actually taken any of the feedback you got so far into consideration? Like I don't know how many people really gave feedback. I mean, people did give feedback on the ML. Did you like take something into consideration?
Yeah, his outfit's ridiculous, but I don't care.
I think that's one of the most important things that we can do is listen to our players along the way and figure out when we should respond and integrate it in and when we shouldn't.
Right.
That's the hard part of our jobs. But definitely ignoring the feedback is us failing.
So I mean, you know, talking like you know factions, races, stuff like that, because you probably have to have an idea and stick to it. But then you hear different opinions from other people. Is it like something that you also take into consideration, even though it might go against your basic idea? Roll it, these answer.
Here you go. Like, you hear, you know, every potential player wants something, and there's, you know, hopefully millions of them, and everyone wants something different. And so it's impossible for us to give every person what they want. But, you know, really often it's about, there's a lot of similar themes, right? And when we reduce it to the sort of core of like, what is the fantasy that people are looking for? What is the experience? We can then, you know, take that and say, what's the best version of that we can deliver? And even better, we're not just going to give people what they say they want. We're going to try and figure out how we can over deliver. How can we get them something that blows their minds that like is also, oh my God, that's exactly what I wanted. You know, that's the dream.
It's super important. Not just giving people what they expect, or just like going, you got that, and this as well, and this. Like, that's really... Know if you can answer is, you know, the big old talk about like factions and races, more specifically like separating the player base, because there are some MMOs who give you the freedom of like, you know, you can play with anyone, you can you know, there are no barriers, and then there are others who actually like split the community very specifically into like, you know, maybe two parts that are battling. What's your like very vague general idea without confirming anything on like this kind of
Yeah. So there's this perfect saying I saw in one of the, you know, a developer talk from one of the Zelda developers, which is, you know, you can't just deliver exactly perfect realism or whatever. You're trying to shape something that feels real, feels believable, but is like actually making the thing you want. Right. And so like there are things that we want. We don't want, you know, me and my best friend, we don't want people not to be able to play with each other. Obviously, that's like a bad, you know, that's a problem. But we also want to, you know, maybe capture the spirit and the kind of, you know, one of the iconic elements of the League of Legends IP, where you've got this complex, you know, factions, and there's, you know, there's a lot of shades of gray, and there's a lot of interesting conflict, and there's a lot of, you know, kind of ways that you or someone else might relate to different elements of it. And so we just try and take all of those factors, the things we want, the things that we want to be true in the experience or in the thematic or in the IP,
that one ignited the passion for like the very old school MMOs.
Sorry, I'm skipping through because I don't feel like this video is gonna have that much. It's just an interview where they just talk and it's a lot of just noise. Because it's too early to have anything other than just noise. I don't even know who these guys are. I guess they just work there. It's not their fault. It's just how it is. But it's cool that, you know, Nukrit gets an interview. So I'm just going to kind of skip a bit.
WoW came out, it like once again became the king of MMOs.
Like, I am interested to hear their opinion on Classic WoW and its impact on MMOs. Sure.
And like everyone suddenly realized that like all the innovations that came from, you know, the other MMOs weren't really enough to like, you know, maybe give the MMO genre actually more value.
Yeah.
So what I got from this general idea, you know, is like you're trying to make like a mix of like staying true to the core idea of MMOs while iterating in some ways.
I think it's really important that we look at what is working in the market and then also evolve the expectations to see where we're going. And if you look at where WoW started, like classic MMO, I think all of us played many, many, many hours of classic WoW. And then you look at how the genre evolved over the course of post-classic WoW era, they were all chasing WoW. And so they're all looking at one specific thing and trying to make a better version of that thing. And now what we're trying to do is we're trying to say like, okay, what went right during that period? And what has changed in the games industry and our players' expectations up until that point? And look at both of those lenses and craft something that feels like it's the right evolution of it. So I think ultimately many people in the industry are seeing similar things, and so we're actually hoping that we can learn from some of the other games that launch in the meantime, but we do think it's going to have some changes and evolutions to that formula without completely throwing it out just for the sake of it.
Okay.
Just personal take. I actually love the idea that the game has dedicated servers, because one thing that happened in WoW later on is at the moment they gave us like random matchmaking and stuff like that. That was a breaking point where if you are an asshole on a server, it didn't matter really. There were never no, you know, nothing really happened to you. But if you are on a dedicated server and you behave badly, people know it about it.
They're gonna do dedicated servers, like kind of how Classic WoW does right now, like Faralina and whatnot. Fuck. I mean, that's good, but at the same time, hopefully they come up with a solution to the mega server problem, because everyone just wants to play on the server, because when there used to be like just old Classic WoW, people didn't care about other servers. For all they knew, they didn't exist. But now the internet is so fucking connected and everyone's talking to each other that you can't help but feel like you're missing out when you're on any server other than the mega server. And that sucks. What's the fix though? What's the fix? I don't know. Hopefully they fix it, because now everyone's on the mega server. Now you're playing on the server, but you're waiting 10 years to fucking get in, and if you're not on it, you just feel like you're wasting your time. So either way, you're fucked, and that's not good.
It's kind of like
higher server cap. Okay, so just embrace the mega server and make it one big server. I mean, yeah, if it's possible to have, you know, fuck, you could have, if we're just doing Classic WoW terms, you could have a battle of like fucking 5,000 people on one big field, not lagging while every person is putting that many inputs in. I don't know if that's even possible. As cool as that would be, it's only hard on release. No, I'm sure it'd be fine, you know, in between, but you'd have these crazy big battles. Let's say the top guilds all meeting in one area for one massive battle. They would all just get fucking laggy, and that sucks, right? Again, I'm just thinking in terms of Classic WoW. Maybe this, right? Fuck, it's like a decade from now, maybe even more. BDO fixed that. Did they? Diablo 4 is a mega server too. You can play with anyone. Okay, can you have all of them in the same exact area? Also, I feel like Diablo 4 has a lot of phasing. Like, a lot. I don't know what you're talking about. Video did not fix it. Yeah, see, y'all are just speaking fucking lies and just bullshit left and right here. So it's just an ongoing problem. I don't know how they'd fix it. It's a fucking problem. Who knows what they'll do? In 10 years, listen, maybe there'll be a fix by then. Maybe they'll come up with some genius idea. Maybe there's just no perfect way of doing it, and they just have to deal with it. I don't know. Design trade-offs. Let's go to scale of MMO's world.
Very much dead end that we can't really talk about. But when it comes to the world, you probably did take into consideration the scale of the world and like how you're gonna approach it. Are you leaning more towards like segmenting the world and kind of like play the safe route where you have a lot of open spaces, or are you ready to like round up like a piece of the content and like ship it in its entirety? Is that even a question you can talk about at all? What's your approach to like, you know, the world at launch?
Ultimately, one of the most important things for us is to realize the world of Runeterra that exists in our players' hearts. We are those people. Like we want to be in the world and we want to see it and we want to experience it. The path for this MMO in the long term will have that full world of Runeterra realized. So for us, it's just a question of how we get there, what the steps are, whether we start small, whether we start broad. We have some takes about where we want to go, but we have our North Star of like that full version of Runeterra, and we know we're going to get there. So it's just a question of the steps along the way.
I have two more questions. One is, when it comes to Riot, they always have like a very specific, almost specific artistic style, where it's like very stylized, very cartoony, but not exactly cartoony. Is it something that you want to stick to in general? To like very style rather than realistic? Is like the classic stylized style on the table for the MMO?
Hopefully I can say it's Jesus.
I don't know what you're gonna say.
So we will be familiar, but something unique.
All right.
It works. This is a place where it's a big damn shame that you can't see the stuff that he's working on, because it's so good.
Last question that I think we can talk about is how did this project start? Because usually at Riot, all the big things start as passion projects, be it, you know, Game Modes on League, EFT, really, you know, Legends of Runeterra. Well, it's all like passion projects. How did the MMO project even like start?
I think the fairest way to say it is that massive parts of this company have been dreaming of making this game for our players for a long time. Obviously, Meryl trolled the world by asking whether an MMO should exist. The reason I came to Riot 7 years ago was to make an MMO. I would say different versions of like this space, what we've been thinking about and moving it forward, have existed in all of our hearts for a very long time.
I thought it was a leak. Like, they were inside the company and they were just like potentially thinking about making it, but then it leaked. And they're like, oh fuck, now we might actually have to do this. Shit. And then they just started doing it. No, it wasn't? Okay. Sorry, I was clueless.
I know.
And honestly, eventually we just all started to get a bunch of those people together. We're like, now is the time. We've got to make that investment. And obviously, I can't tell you any dates or people, but it's been something that I think all of us have been chasing for a really long time.
And players have just been asking for it for such a long time. It's just like, gotta listen to that.
Yeah, we're obviously.
Do we know when it's coming out? Yeah, they're gonna have a release date at the end of this interview.
What I do appreciate, though, like transparently speaking, is that
so stay tuned.
The thing that we know about Riot, like one of the top line values, is we're not going to ship something that's perfectly fine. And so it took us a little while to get to the point where we're willing to start the project, but it was waiting until we're like, okay, now we have enough with the work on lore. We have enough in terms of the right people that is like, now is the time to finally make this and do it right. That was the thing that held off, is that we're like, company wasn't at the right place, the people aren't at the right place, the IP wasn't at the right place. Once we get all of those, Meryl's like, we need to do this thing. The thing that is most important to us really is that we make something that is exceptional, that is worthy of our players and the dreams that they have, and that it's okay that it takes a while.
Right.
That's the biggest risk, is that we're like, hey, we're doing this thing, and people are like, it's been 6 months, why haven't you shipped the thing yet? And it's like, well, I don't know. We're in service of all of you. We're in service of trying to make the best thing for you, and Sometimes a little fire under our asses to get it outdoors isn't a bad thing.
No pressure, but the Riot MMO right now is probably the most anticipated one in the market right now.
No pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we've got the people who are at least gonna rise to the challenge and fucking fight that fight.
I mean, you all said many times that the team is really stacked. Yeah, like you probably have veterans to like. I don't know what teams you really like. All of you worked on.
I assume it was a lot.
It's a great.
It's really where are you guys?
Can you actually like say all of you like what actually
we worked on?
Yeah.
Let's see. What are you? Star Wars Galaxies, an unannounced MMO inside of Ensemble, Age of Empires 3, Halo Wars, Orcs Must Die, Hero Academy, Words with Friends.
Played Orcs Must Die. Or made.
An unannounced MMO prototype inside of Riot a long time ago.
Like, of all his fucking games he made, like, I'm like the only person who's gonna be like, oh, Orcs Must Die.
Wild Rift in the Netherlands.
Obviously, I'm not this bad, but like, I mean, I worked on. Yeah, no kidding.
That's a time to flex, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Let him flex. Like, it's good. I mean, I worked on League of Legends for like almost a decade. I worked on Call of Duty before that, and a bunch of, smaller, kind of AA games for a while before that.
But it can't be understated how important it is to have people who like know everything about the history of our players and the IP. Yeah. Like, that's massive. In many ways, more important than like a bunch of different bands.
So God, many years, many different things.
It's so many.
Legends of Runeterra. Let's see, Sims. I've worked on Sims for many years.
The Sims?
Some other MMOs, some old ones, like one that eventually got out, Gods and Heroes, back in the day. And yeah, and like a number of small projects.
Right. Yeah. And most of my stuff before here, I've been here for 9 years. I was working freelance for quite a lot of years, writing books and doing things like that, doing some world building here and there for different games. And then most of my background before that comes from like tabletop. So like I worked at Games Workshop, so I was a games designer and a writer and an art manager over there and working on like Warhammer 40k, that kind of stuff. That was my sort of kickstart into the industry really.
One of the things that I love most about this team, other than the fact that they're huge dreamers and like have massive ambitions, is that everybody has had their story in the games industry, which means nobody has the chip on their shoulder. Right? Everybody is like, whatever is the right thing to do for the game, whatever is the right thing to do for players. There's not conversations about ego or identity or my idea or your idea. It's just like, how do we make the best thing? Right. And that is the most refreshing thing I've ever experienced on a game team. I'm surrounded by people smarter than me, and that's just like the best. So cool. Which is good, because this challenge is huge.
Oh yeah. You can't get, you honestly can't go bigger than MMO.
Yeah.
Like that's actually just the biggest genre.
Yeah.
You can probably tackle.
And so we put on like one of the IPs that has the most expectations.
Oh yeah.
Well, like no pressure.
It's literally the harvest problem.
It really is.
Let's go.
All right. Well, that was a really awesome interview where we did actually get some answers. We had
Try not to get fired.
more than I expected, so I really do appreciate all of you. And I'm gonna do some funny editing, and I'm just gonna cut it off so you can just say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, like I said, you didn't really get anything out of this. It's just cool to see that, the fact they're doing interviews with a YouTuber about the game, it's like, okay, so they're fucking doing it. And they're making some form of progress, I guess. 2042 release date. Fuck. What is this Asmongold video? Look at that fucking thumbnail. The interview with Riot MMO team is even better than a
lot of people
thought.
And the one thing we definitely did to get a bunch of those people together, and we're like,
Let's go.
All right. Well,
could be wrong, and it could be something with like AI or something like that. But like,
okay, you should upload one too. No. Actually, that depends on my editor. Depends on how he feels. I don't know what he does, or they do. It might be. I don't even know who the fuck edits my videos. Actually, either way, what to do today? Oh, play a good game? Oh, yeah. No, Milena does not edit my videos anymore. She has not edited my videos for fucking 2 years, I think. But she went out and she found someone else. It's like Mako, I think. I've talked to him a couple times, but not much. Never been much of a YouTuber. That's just whatever goes on there just goes on there.